Go ahead.
Going back to infrastructure, I understand that the president offered to repurpose $75 billion in unspent COVID money after there was some concern from the White House that doing that would jeopardize aid to rural hospitals in the areas where it was intended in the beginning. What changed in that negotiation, and then is there any more room for that given the jobs report and the 20 states not taking enhanced federal unemployment anymore? Could more be taken from unemployment to dedicate to the $75 billion and bring it up?
First, let me say that what he's referencing, or there might be some openness to, is pre-ARP money, which passed during the prior administration. There is a tiny minimal amount left. So that's certainly not going to pay for the vast majority of these proposals. Also, I would note that a lot of this funding, as we've talked about before, the vast majority of this funding is allocated, and it is meant to go to, as you noted, hospitals, to firefighters, to keeping law enforcement on the job, to state and localities that have suffered during the pandemic. So we've proposed alternatives to pay for these proposals, as we've been talking about a bit in here. Why wouldn't it be a better option for companies that paid no tax to pay 15%, which is still a lower tax rate than even was in the Trump tax package? Why wouldn't it be a better proposal to invest in enforcement, IRS enforcement, something that's supported by 84% of Republicans in the country? So there are a range of ideas out there. The president's bottom line is he's not going to raise taxes on people making less than $400,000 a year. He's proposed a lot of different options that don't cross that red line, and he's looking forward to seeing what the other side has to offer.
Where did that $75 billion come from? What pot did it come out of?
The pre-ARP COVID funding.
Okay. And then going to the emails with Dr. Fauci, there was an exchange between Dr. Collins and Dr. Fauci referencing a Fox News report discussing it as basically the lab leak as a conspiracy. Collins denied, jumping to conclusions, and he asserted that his mention of conspiracies was referring to the rumor that the virus was bioengineered as a weapon. Is that the position of the administration and their top health experts, that this was not engineered, or is that still an open question and part of this review?
Well, I think we've spoken to this pretty extensively from here. Let me just say on Dr. Fauci and his emails, he's also spoken to this many, many times over the course of the last few days, and we'll let him speak for himself. And he's been an undeniable asset in our country's pandemic response. But it's obviously not that advantageous for me to relitigate the substance of emails from 17 months ago. We've launched, based on the president's direction, an entire internal review process to use all of the resources across government to get to the bottom of the origins. And that's a 100-day process, and we'll look forward to providing more when or 90 days, sorry, when it's concluded.
Can you speak at all to the Vanity Fair report about this State Department fact sheet that came out 5 days before inauguration?
5 days before this president's inauguration?
Correct. Do you know if there was any crossover of that, how that was seen by this administration, the conclusions that they were trying to put out in the final days of the Trump administration?
I think I'm just going to focus on our own internal review that's going to use every resource in the federal government, whether that is our health experts, our medical experts, our national security team, to see what more we can unearth about the origins, which certainly we all want to get to the bottom.